those are most of the formalities as far as who we're talking to today and why we are talking to these folks today. The format for today's discussion is pretty simple. Each of you guys are going to be given a minute for your intro to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running. Becca is our timekeeper right there. She's going to give you the time when you have about 15 seconds left. It's not hard and fast. We definitely are here to learn more about you. So say what you need to say. And then we are going to answer. We're going to share these questions. These questions have been submitted by most of the folks here in our room, our members, and those of us on the Committee for Political Affairs. I have one question for each of you. If we get through all of those, then we will have another round of questions, one for each of you. You have 2 minutes to answer the questions. They cover a variety of topics. I've watched a lot of debates that you guys have been in. It's mostly the stuff you guys have talked about before, plus a few things that are focused on our community here in Spring Hill. So that's what we're kind of looking at today. So without any further ado, I think I will open up. We're just going to go down. So Representative Cepicky, you are first.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming here today. Thank you for Becca and the Chamber for putting this on. It's very important for you to be able to figure out who you're going to get to vote for, because going to the General Assembly is a lot different than going to the county commission or county mayor. We vote on abortion laws, we vote on Second Amendment, we vote on constitutional issues, we vote on 10th Amendment issues, we vote on the Biden administration coming into Tennessee and trying to tell us what we're going to do in our schools, and we push back against that. Myself and Senator Hensley here, we have pushed back against that in a mighty way here to protect Tennessee and to protect your children and your families. You know, faith, family, and freedom is not a slogan. It's not something to be taken very lightly. It's something near and dear to our hearts here in Maury County, and I'm very proud to stand in the General Assembly and defend that for not only Maury County and Spring Hill, but the state of Tennessee. I've worked with Senator Hensley on education reform, and hopefully I'll get that question. I'm really hoping I get that question. But we've worked on major education reform to start to turn our school systems around so that we can have children that are educated at the highest level, so that when they get to high school, they can choose which way they're going to go in their further education in college and career technical, so they can choose what's best for them. But my name is Scott Cepicky. I'm your state representative. I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jameson Gillam. I'm a native of Maury County. I've lived in Maury County my whole life. I went to MTSU for college, majored in aerospace, led to a career in aviation. I've been a captain at Southwest Airlines now for about 16 years. I've been there for 21 years. Graduated from Central High School in '89. And I care very much about Maury County. I care about our future. I have 2 children that are in public education right now. I have a daughter who graduated from MTSU just not even a year ago. We've got a lot of things facing us here in Maury County, and we have to be careful about the path we take to preserve our future. So with that, I just tell you that I will work harder than anyone to make sure that we protect Maury County, to instill our future, to promote our future, but at the same time to protect and preserve what we have here that makes us unique and special. My name is Jameson Gillam, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Good afternoon. Oh, sorry, I'll back that up a little bit. All right, my name is Jameson Manor, and I'm the Democrat running on this ticket. So I got the privilege of watching these 2 do what they're doing, and then I will get an opportunity to run against the winner of that, since I am unopposed in the primary. With that being said, I still want to encourage everyone to be sure you're getting out and voting in the local part of this. That's the most important thing right now. But I'm a school teacher. I've taught in public school. I've been a school teacher since 2005. I've been in a public school system since 2009. I've worked with special needs. I've worked in juvenile delinquency in education. To me, this is where my stuff starts at. It's my focus, it's where I'm at. Everything builds beyond that. We've got to find a way to grow as a community, and that starts with what we do in education. And as I said at the beginning, my name is Jameson Manor, and I would appreciate your vote on this as we move into this. Thank you.
Thank you, Spring Hill Chamber. Great crowd today, and it's an honor to be here. I'm Todd Warner. I first ran for office and was elected to state representative in the 92nd District 2 years ago. At that time, our community was in desperate need of a true conservative leader. Thanks to the great folks of the 92nd District, they gave me that opportunity. I've spent the last 2 years in Nashville fighting career politicians and fighting the big money lobbyists that spend all their time in our offices. A couple things that I'm proud to help get accomplished during that time, trying to clean up our schools. We all know what's going on this day and time. I worked hard with Representative Cepicky and Senator Hensley. We voted out CRT in our schools, and we've stopped the transgender crossover competing against our young women. There's two things that I've been a part of and have been proud to be a part of. Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Matt Fitterer. I think you all already know that as you've already elected me twice. Everybody in this audience has got an investment in Spring Hill, whether you're a business owner and you've invested your capital and your livelihood, or whether you live here and you're raising your family here, raising your kids here. Spring Hill is important to you. And I'm the only one up on this stage that can say the same, that's here, invested in Spring Hill, raising their family here, raising their kids here. We are the 14th largest city in Tennessee, and we've never had a state representative be from here and be one of us. And that's the opportunity you have here in this election. You've all known me for the past 7+ years. You know I'll lead with honesty, integrity, be accessible, be engaged. That's what you deserve as voters. It's what I've been for the past 7+ years and what I'll continue to be for you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Jeff Ford, running for state representative in District 92. So I want you to do something for me. The next time you go into Longview Rec Center, the next time you go into Allendale Elementary, Chapman's Retreat, Longview, Thompson Station Elementary, Thompson Station Middle School, Spring Station Middle School, Independence High School, Summit High School, look at the plaque on the wall. Look at the names there. Spoiler alert, I'm on that name, on that plaque. I represented Williamson County on the County Commission since 2002, and in that time we built 8 schools and 1 rec center in Spring Hill. We did that because this was a growing area and it was very important. In addition, last time in 2012, when we redistricted, I made sure that Spring Hill got its own county commission and school board district. So it was completely inside there. That's the District 3 that you've got candidates running for now. But this election is not just about Spring Hill. If statistics hold, 40% of the votes will come from Spring Hill. And it's important that we have somebody who can represent both sides. I'm pleased to have support and endorsements, public endorsements, from candidates who in the last election got 55% of the vote in Marshall County. So if you're looking for a local Williamson County Spring Hill candidate, I'd ask for your vote. Thank you.
Hi y'all, I'm Angela Hughes. I'm from Marshall County, actually in Cornersville, which is a very southern tip of Marshall County. I am running for District 92 as a Democrat, unopposed. My name will not be on the ballot until November 8th, but I want to thank the Chamber for having all of us here and having the opportunity to introduce ourselves and all the hard work they put to put all this together. And to say that all these candidates here, we are all very serious. This is a growing community, growing extremely fast. And it's not just Spring Hill, it's Williamson as a whole, Marshall as a whole, and even Maury County, which I do not represent, I would not represent if I was elected. And we have to learn and work out and build bridges to work together to make our community safer, and to be able to provide all the things that we need to provide for our community, like the fire department, the police department, and the school systems. I appreciate all the time and effort y'all put to put this activity together, and thank you. Again, my name is Angela Hughes, District 92.
Hang on to that microphone if you would, please, Ms. Hughes. I'm going to ask you the first question, and we're going to come back this way. So I'm going to pull a question from the box of those that have been submitted. And our first question for you, Ms. Hughes, would you support legislation to prevent critical race theory and sexual education's teaching in our Tennessee schools.
Are you saying two different subjects or just?
Critical race theory and sexual education. You can.
As far as I know, I do not believe critical race theory is being taught. That's, as far as I understand, that is a college course. And the other one was
Just sex ed.
sex ed.
Yes, ma'am.
I think reproductive basic health should be for all students of, as long as the parents allow it. Should be available for all parents that allow it. It is important that, especially teenage kids understand a little bit about what's happening with their bodies.
Okay. We'll pass the microphone down to Mr. Ford. Okay, next question for you, sir. What do you believe is Spring Hill's greatest asset, and how would you ensure that it is represented and protected at the state level?
The most important asset that any community has is the people. And the people of Spring Hill, as I've gotten to know them over the past 20 years, have been great people who are interested in their community, who are interested in what they can do. The other asset is the business community. We've seen the business community thrive over the past 20 years here in Spring Hill. I'm proud to have been a part of building schools that support. As you know, the Williamson County schools are one of our greatest assets in our entire county, not to mention in Spring Hill. That's why people are moving here, is for our schools. I'm proud to be a part of building 8 schools in my 16 years, plus the rec center that is here. Spring Hill has such an opportunity. When I look at this community, and I see promise. I see that we have done a lot of things, but I still see promise. There's going to be 1 million new people that are going to come into the I-65 corridor between Nashville and Huntsville in the next 20 years. There is no reason that we can't take this opportunity. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, people, to take this opportunity to build our community stronger, to make best use of the assets that are here, and to expand that in the future. The June Lake property and the interchange that is on I-65 are going to be a great asset to our community if we don't waste the opportunity.
Thank you. Next question for you, Alderman Fitterer. Tennessee walks a tightrope between keeping taxes low and building infrastructure to match the growth opportunity currently taking place. How would you work to balance those issues and help us meet the demands of our population growth that it requires?
Thank you, Brooke, and that's a good question. I don't have to talk to you about what I would do. I can talk to you about what I've already been doing and is currently ongoing here in Spring Hill. We've got a $106 million joint Whitfield water distribution project. That's a regional project between us and our regional partners. We've got a major sewer plant expansion going on. 4 of the 5 largest roadway projects in the history of Spring Hill, they're all active right now. 2 of the biggest ones, the interchange, the widening of Highway 31, 31's in NEPA review right now. But those projects are going forward because Spring Hill's paid for them. You've paid for them here locally. We haven't gotten the state dollars for the state projects. That needs to change. While we've been doing all that, we've lowered your property tax rate here in Spring Hill twice in the past 2 years. We're more dependent on sales tax right now. The people coming into our community, spending their dollars and leaving, those are contributing more towards our general fund right now than your property taxes. And even some of these county projects, Williamson County did not build the Longview Rec Center by themselves for us. The city took on debt for that, and we still have debt for that today. But the mayor's nodding his head, he knows. You're paying for that. Williamson County didn't pay for that for you. And that's why this election is so important, that we as a city have somebody who knows and understands our needs and has been here actively fighting for them.
Representative Warner, this next one is for you. What is the local government or legislative accomplishment you are most proud of?
Could you repeat that?
What is the local government or legislative accomplishment you are most proud of?
Probably the one I'm most proud of is one that we finished up with at the end of the year. It's one our governor failed to sign. It was a truth in sentencing bill brought to us by the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton. And what that bill does, if you commit a violent crime, a serious violent crime, it's truth in sentences. Whatever that judge sentences you to on that day, you're going to spend 100% of your time. You're not, the victim's family is not going to be going back to court every 24 months and wondering whether this criminal is going to be getting out of jail early and fearing for their life or their loved one's life, whoever's been hurt. So I was a co-sponsor on that bill with the Speaker, and that's one I'm proud that we got passed this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Manor, this question is for you. What is the top priority of your platform?
As I said just a moment ago, education would be the top priority because it's what my background is, it's what I know. As with the question that was asked a moment ago, no, critical race theory is not taught in it. We don't have a standard for it, never have, never will, because it is a Master's of Legal Studies coursework. So it is just a red meat item thrown around to discredit what's going on in education, and that's garbage. What we need to be doing is focusing on how to improve things. We have single-digit graduates right now going into education. We've got to fix that. We've got to turn it around. We've got to create a movement for people to want to get back into it. So where I would start at starts in education. That would be the primary focus that I would come to. We've got to create them. Like if you go talk to the Tennessee College of Applied Technology right now, it was referenced a minute ago, they pay their instructors there 1/3 of what their students are going to make the first day they graduate. The reason we have a worker shortage in a lot of fields is because we're not getting we don't have enough trainers to train them. We've got to find a way to grow all of that. We have to invest in the ability to grow in our primary grades, secondary grades, and post-secondary. We've got to grow it all. We've got to grow it in-house, and we've got to grow it in a way where we don't feel like we're being attacked. We don't feel, people want to know that their community supports them. Years ago, people who I live in Spring Hill, had to finally get a job in Culleoka in order to afford to continue to live in Spring Hill. I was teaching in Hickman County. So we have a disparaging issue there. We have fewer people living in our community, working in our community. So we've got to find a way to grow to keep that as something we've got going.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Gillam, next question is for you. I'm trying to shake him up here. This year, the governor allocated $500 million to the Tennessee Titans for a new stadium downtown. The General Assembly supported this budget item. So then it goes into, okay, if you had been on the General Assembly, how would you have voted on this item? And as a follow-up, what would your position be if the city of Memphis were to request a similar allocation for the Grizzlies FedEx Forum?
I would have not been in support of it. I think our tax dollars need to go to something other than a stadium, football stadium. Tennessee Titans are perfectly capable of spending their own dollars to pay for that. Our tax dollars need to go to things like education. We need to work on our schools, our infrastructure. Here in Spring Hill and in Maury County, we all experience the growth pressures every day, and our monies need to be allocated to help alleviate those issues for us. So the short answer is I just would not have been in support of that, and if Memphis wanted the same thing, I would have to say the same. Our tax dollars do not need to go to fund sports stadiums.
Okay, thank you. Representative Cepicky, this next one is for you. What are you going to do about election integrity? Specifically, will you advocate for removing electronic machines from our voting process?
First of all, let me answer a question that was just asked. I was one of the no votes to give the money to the Titans in the General Assembly, and I would vote no to give the Memphis Grizzlies the money. These are multi-billion-dollar corporations that can afford to build the stadiums they want, not off the backs of the taxpayers here in Tennessee. On election integrity, we've already taken a lot of steps right now here, not only in Maury County, but across the state of Tennessee. If you are going to get a mail-in ballot, it is very restrictive on how you can request that from the state, but there'll be a very indicative or a very unique watermark that'll be on all mail-in ballots, so we can track exactly how many go out, how many come back in, and who they're sent to. We've instructed the Secretary of State to clean the voter rolls across the state of Tennessee to get people off the ballots who are either deceased or who no longer live here. We are not Chicago, Illinois. We have also taken the aspect of it. You are now allowed to request a paper ballot. How many people knew you're allowed to request a paper ballot when you go vote right now? You can request a paper ballot when you go vote to protect your ballot, to make sure that there's no electronic shenanigans going on with your vote. So I urge you, if you have any questions about election integrity, go in there and ask for a paper ballot. And if they don't provide it to you, as a representative of the General Assembly, please call me on the phone and I'll make sure that that gets corrected right away for you. Election integrity is very important in the state of Tennessee. We saw what happened in Pennsylvania. We saw what happened in Ohio, and in Chicago. We saw what happened down in Georgia. We have to clean up and make Tennessee that shining star of an example of how to do our elections, and we are. And we will continue to look for ways to make sure that we have election integrity and make sure that with electronic voting, you receive a receipt on exactly how you voted and who you voted for, so that there's always a cross-check available to make sure that the votes that you take are being recorded accurately for you. Thank you.
Well, that was round one of the questions we have. Do you want to move to the second round? Okay. I'll just keep it, Representative Cepicky. This next one will also be for you. What are some of your ideas to help promote smart growth in this district and Spring Hill in particular, while still attracting businesses to our district?
Well, I've lived here with you before. From 2008 to 2014, I was a resident of Spring Hill. I was on the Parks Commission with Mayor Graham and the board appointing me there, working on the Port Royal Park, it used to be called, and we changed the name of that. So I have shared some of the same roads, some of the same problems with you, and understand exactly what the issues you're facing. As your state representative, it's my job to deliver different things for you than a county commission or a city government. We are working right now in Maury County. It looks like we're going to be awarded our $22 million broadband grant to bring broadband throughout Maury County to alleviate that problem, which will help commerce and will help education. Working with TDOT, if you notice, we had a little delay on Saturn Parkway for a while, but we got that repaved. I worked with Mayor Graham and the council on Port Royal Road, where you get on of Saturn Parkway. You were taking your life in your hands trying to pull out there to go to work. We have traffic lights there. We are now working for funding on Kedron Road. We've seen the expansion on Kedron Road. We're going to have to get lights on Kedron Road and Saturn Parkway so people can pull out safely. We got the Bear Creek interchange going in. You've got the Buckner Road interchange going in. That's going to change a lot. Eventually, we're going to see TDOT, which is targeted to bring 4 lanes all the way down, or expand Interstate 65 from 840 all the way down to Saturn Parkway. Once that's accomplished, you're probably going to see an interchange on Kedron Road. We have to have a plan at the local level. The cities have to have a plan. The counties have to have a plan. But as your state representative, it's my job to find every dollar possible to help out where we can to make sure that your roads are safe, your bridges are safe, your cities have the money that they need to be able to function on a proper basis, and don't do anything at the state level that could jeopardize those funds coming locally. Thank you.
Next question for you, Mr. Gillam. Okay, this district doesn't have this problem, fortunately, but we all know that Metro Nashville has often struggled to manage its funds and overspends its budget, and that has some ramifications across the entire state of Tennessee. Should the Nashville Metro government come again to the state for a financial bailout, how would you vote?
Well, first of all, let me just address one thing. Maury County, we've got over 18 bridges that could be condemned yesterday. And so, you know, those issues have been outlined there for years. And I think it's time that we have someone that's actually going to get in there and fix these problems that we have. There's no need for us to be driving on bridges that should have been condemned years ago. As far as the metropolitan government in Nashville is concerned, you know, I do not in any way or form like a metropolitan government. I think that the city and the counties should work together. I think that when you have a city, and Knoxville is a perfect example. They work together so well. I've talked to some of the people up there, and the way that they are able to save money and save dollars from working together, they really are a beacon, and we should be looking to Knoxville as an example of how government should run. So if Nashville were to ask for a bailout, I would have to say that Nashville probably should be taking care of their problems. You know, as a state official, obviously we want to take care of everyone, but we cannot continue to spend tax dollars from across the state to help a local government problem.
Thank you. Mr. Manor, are you open to discussion about public transportation infrastructure considering the speed of growth in this district?
Absolutely. That is a major issue that needs to be growing. We do have some public transportation options, but as we continue to grow, we also, one of the other infrastructure issues we're running into on that is we have an increased need of people who need these services to be available. We also, but some of those could be cut down too if we can find a way to help fund things such as more sidewalks and bike paths here in Spring Hill. It's an absolute nightmare trying to get from Port Royal to on one side of Port Royal to the other if you have to walk it. But you know, those are things that the state needs to. The state does need to find ways to help invest and grow a community and offer those opportunities. So yes, having that discussion would be worthwhile on any front. Using those, creating more areas for those places to stop. I think sometimes, like what we have right now, we have a very limited areas where people are actually stopping on those, which puts us in a position where we have limited access and people are still walking in high traffic areas. So there's a lot of that would have to be kind of improved upon. But yes, the short answer to that was I would be open to the discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. Representative Warner, this next question is for you. Red flag laws have been in the news a lot lately. These are laws that will allow family members, police officers, doctors, and others to petition the court to take away someone's firearms if they feel they are in danger to themselves and others. What are your thoughts on red flag laws?
Well, let me start by saying, other night I got at the last forum in Williamson County, I got asked the question, what would be my first piece of legislation that I would carry? School safety will be my first piece of legislation that I work on when I go back. That is something I think is very important. In Marshall County, we have schools that don't even have SRO officers in them, and that's unacceptable. We're going to fix that problem. But no, I will not support red flag laws. I signed I guess you'd call it with the Tennessee Firearms Association. They've endorsed me, and I would not support red flag laws.
Thank you. Alderman Fitterer, this one is for you. What do you see as the role of legislature versus the role of the executive branch in a pandemic?
Thank you, Brooke. I don't know that any branch of government has a role in a pandemic at all. You know, here locally, we didn't have any lockdowns, shutdowns. We actually found a really weird mask mandate in our existing ordinance. It was around criminal safety. We stripped that out of our ordinance altogether. I think the role of government is to properly educate, present facts, and let people make decisions for themselves. You know, a lot of times, a good example of this is the seatbelt laws that started getting passed in the 70s, right? Government came in and said, put on your seatbelt, put on your seatbelt, put on your seatbelt, and nobody did. When they started educating people on seatbelts, then behavior changed. So it's the role of government, be it the legislative branch or the executive branch, to provide information. We're all smart people. We can all make our own decisions. Provide information, let people make their own educated choice.
Thank you. We only have a couple more left, so it's kind of, well, let's just shuffle them. Mr. Ford, addiction is a burden on people and business. Do you have solutions to help overcome the fentanyl crisis in our community?
First of all, thank you for the question. My family has been touched by addiction, and I recognize the importance of that. To solve the fentanyl crisis, number one, we have to secure the border. That's where the fentanyl is coming from. We see the news stories every day of people pouring over the border. As a state representative, I can't go close your border. I can't go to Texas and close your border. My client / friend who moved to Marshall County has a son that is a border agent, and the stories he tells me about the border are horrific. But what we can do is make sure that those people, that the people who cross the border illegally are not dropped into Tennessee. We can make sure that they are not brought here, left here. We can make sure and have a program that recognizes, identifies, and isolates them from our population. We can also make sure that our law enforcement is trained and ready to identify and help in those situations. One of the first pieces of legislation I intend to pursue when I get to Nashville is a first responder PTSD support legislation. Our first responders see things every day that none of us would want to see. Our EMTs, our firefighters, our police officers, they see things every day, and they suffer from mental health issues, and our state does nothing to support them. They have an EAP program through their local government, but South Carolina has a program that I've studied carefully that we can use as a model to provide support for our first responders. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question for you, Ms. Hughes, and then we will be able to give everybody a minute for closing statements. Okay. The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, activating a trigger ban on abortion in Tennessee. Based on your understanding of that soon-to-be-in-effect trigger ban, are there any modifications you would support here in Tennessee?
I think that's fantastic. I'm the only woman up here to be able to talk about reproductive issues for women. And it really, I think it shows the lack of education in our system and how the human body works, the anatomy of women and men, and to have the government come into and say, tell a doctor you can't do anything for a woman, or have to make the hard decisions that some women have to make. You know, do I take a chance and carry a child, or if the child's even alive, and the doctor's saying, I don't hear a heartbeat, but there's nothing I can do for you. They're very difficult decisions that we all must have to think about. We all must come together, educate ourselves on this. Abortion is not birth control. But when you have a child that is not viable and the woman cannot carry it, but yet she has to have a procedure to remove it, it's not legal to take care of her anymore. So those are the things that we need to decide on, and I think it would be up to the doctors and the patients to come to the decision, not the government.
Okay, thank you. And thank you all very much for being here. So what we're going to do now is we'll start with you, Mrs. Hughes, and everybody work back, and everybody have a minute for your final statements. But we really do appreciate your time and participation today. So if you would, the floor is yours, ma'am. Just a minute for one closing statement.
Oh, closing statement? Okay, just closing statement. This is all new to me, running for a government position. I do not have experience as an elected official. However, I do think it's so important to build bridges between our, the diversity, the volatility of our political climate. Tennesseans have a lot in common. In Spring Hill, Williamson County, and I'm from Marshall County, we're gonna go through what you guys went through for the last 10 years. It's a struggle. And I believe there's programs, private groups that can be bridged and can come together and solve some of our homelessness, some of our other issues that we have here. And I would love to be your next state house rep here in Tennessee. Thank you.
Thank you for your close attention during this forum, and thank you to the Spring Hill Chamber and to my fellow candidates for putting their name on the ballot. I know there's follow-up questions, so I want to leave you myself on number 615-517-2776. You can always get hold of me. It rings this phone right here. Don't do it right now, but it does ring that phone. When I was in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, meeting with Bradley Jackson, the head of the Tennessee Chamber, we were talking about the I-65 corridor and the million people who will be coming in. We were talking about the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we have to shape our community. I've worked in sales for all of my life. Most of my career has been built around sales, and I know that nothing gets done until something gets sold. And as you know, as business people, sales is about relationships. And so I'm running to be your state representative, to be your salesperson, to be your advocate, to be your cheerleader in Nashville. I'll take the relationships that I have with our local officials, with our local chamber, with our state officials, and I will make sure that we are poised to take advantage of this opportunity. I'm Jeff Ford, and this community is the best product I would ever have the privilege to represent. I look forward to the election, and I would covet your vote on August the 4th. Thank you.
Thank you everybody again for coming out. I know I talked a lot about Spring Hill this afternoon, but we are at a Spring Hill event, and those of you who know me and have seen me serve for the past 7+ years do know that I'll represent the entire community equally, the entire district equally. I look around the room and I see a lot of people who aren't in my ward and some who don't even live in city limits who we've helped deal with issues over the past 7+ years. The way this district is structured, though, is the majority of the voters are here in Spring Hill. And that's an extremely, extremely unique opportunity that Spring Hill has never had before. That it'll be Spring Hill voters and Spring Hill voter turnout that ultimately decides the election. So don't miss that opportunity. Because while it's my name on the ballot, this election's really about you, your family, your kids. Let's elect somebody who's just like you.
Thank you, Spring Hill Chamber. It's been an honor to be here today. Our district deserves a fighter, someone who's willing to stand up to the career politicians and the big money lobbyists running our state. Tennessee has the ability to serve as a national model for the true kind of success that true conservative government can accomplish. One promise I can make you is I will always fight to keep government off your back and out of your pocket. I've been ranked 5th most conservative in Nashville by the American Conservative Union. I'm also endorsed by the Tennessee Conservative, and I will work to shrink government. Thank you.
Again, I'll echo everybody else in the thank yous to the chamber and everybody that's here. As I spoke earlier, my background is education. My background is in child care and in child development, and that's where everything starts in my book on it. But there's other things that need to change. But the thing that comes back to when you talk to an educator, one of the things that we look into is how do we lead with empathy? Empathy is what's going to drive the decisions in what we do here. Empathy has to be found in the work that we put in. We have to have a focus where we understand our neighbor and we can actually have nuance. Nuance is dying because of the idea of a supermajority. We have to get to a point where we can actually have conversations and negotiate a better bill, a better life for everybody here. So we can't let nuance die in Tennessee, or we will lose it. Please, everybody that can, early vote, but make sure you get a vote. My name is Jameson Manor, and I'm running for the 64th.
Again, I would like to thank the Chamber. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. I appreciate your attention. I am not a politician. However, I am here to serve. That is my goal. As I said earlier, I was an aerospace major. I've been flying at Southwest for 21 years. I understand how to get people together to get things done, sometimes in the most stressful situations. So with that being said, no one is going to fight harder for you here in Maury County in this district than I will. This is my home, and I will always do everything I can to represent our people in this county to the best of my ability. And I certainly would appreciate your consideration. And my name is Jason Gillam. I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you for inviting me here today, and thank you for coming out. It's very important for you to learn more about who you're going to cast your vote for. One of the most important things anybody ever says to me is, I voted for you, and I really appreciate that. It's been an honor to serve you in the General Assembly over the last 4 years. As your conservative representative, I've been fighting the woke liberal left on your behalf and have been beating them in Nashville. And I've got the voting record to prove it for you. I've carried and passed major milestone legislation in education, healthcare, right to life, Second Amendment, and criminal justice. I am the conservative wall that the Biden administration's liberal policies bashes against, and I will not break for you. And I have the voting record to prove it. I've been serving Spring Hill and Maury County for over 12 years. Under our state's conservative Republican-led leadership, Tennessee has had the best and the fastest economic recovery coming out of COVID than any other state in America. Conservative policies work when they are applied. My name is Scott Cepicky. I am your state representative in District 64. I am your conservative voice in Nashville, and I humbly ask for your vote and your prayers. I am honored to fight on your behalf to keep Maury County the best place to live, work, and raise your family. Thank you.
Thank you all. Can we give them a round of applause?